Hello Internet, welcome back to another edition of Eric's Corner, or the word to the not so wise, doing another deuce and a half video. I got my heater system, all electrical system, just did a video on that. So I got these guys here, put them underneath here because it's just a really good place to put stuff like this. This is for my defrost, and it's a pretty high flow heater. You see the fan in there, it's kind of that snail shell style. Get a lot more CFM than with the other style of fan that not sure which one this has, but it puts off a lot of heat. And I got that one down there. I initially put that one there and I put it right there so hopefully air would come up through these vents in the dash and defrost my window, and that did not work at all. So I was gonna put this heater up there, but you can't do that because the fluid coming through your hoses, just like anything, it follows the path of least resistance, and just picking up the weight of the fluid, trying to get it up there, it's gonna create an air pocket and it's gonna circulate through the rest of the system. So I put it down low and then ran these vents. And then, so obviously you can't see air going through it, but those are just hardwired. They don't go to ignition or anything. And then you can hear that one cooking off, and then that one. So key to this is going to be getting lots of fluid flow. I speculated that I would get enough pressure coming from this. It comes off right there, tees across here, and that one goes over to the driver's side underneath the dashboard there. And then that one up there is the return. You see I got valves on them in case I rupture a hose. Or when it's hot out, you can just shut it off altogether and keep fluid from circulating in the cab, because you get a lot of heat in the cab from the engine. And I mean, even on like a 60-degree day going down the road, it will absolutely cook you. I talked before about the way these were teed. I went this way, so this kind of bypasses, versus if I teed it this way, it would deadhead and kind of divide by two. I did it this way because I need more fluid flow coming down through this way to go through more heaters. And unfortunately, when I'm stopped, it does not have enough pressure to run fluid through all of these heaters. I was hoping that it would, but that's okay. You can bump up the idle if you're stopped, because even that heater on a 25-degree day just really doesn't even take the edge off. And going down the road, I took this to my buddy's house. It was about 15 degrees out, and with both that heater and that other one running full steam, it was still cold. And then of course my dash fogged up real bad, so I'm like, all right, I need some kind of defroster. I had these hoses running from over there and just kind of haphazardly going across the floorboard here, but I went ahead and rerouted them, as you could see there, because that was just kind of clunky, and I was going to put a defroster over here anyway, so it's like I might as well just tee into all of them. So what I did, and you'll be doing yourself a big favor if you run your supply line and run red versus black, and then black as your return lines, but I didn't think of that till later, and black is what I had. So is what I did, I came up from here and I went in this side, then I came out of this one and just hooked it right to there, and then came out of that one back down here for my return line. You don't really need a whole lot of heat for a defroster. You just really need high flow. So even if I was gonna do a really in-depth video where I took a temperature gun and actually took heat readings of how hot the heat was coming out, how hot the fluid was going in, and I kind of did that, but again, at a stop, it doesn't really get enough fluid flow to really flow through them and get something really accurate. But they do put off very good heat when I'm going down the road. Like they get very hot. So I mean, the higher your fluid flow, the better, but you don't necessarily need maximum fluid flow, because I mean, the coolant coming out of there is 180 degrees. So even if it goes through this second heater and it cools it down 10 degrees, I mean, you know, whatever, you still got really warm air. And also in the winter, you're going to have different temperatures also, because you're going to lose heat running through these hoses. And part of what I did there too, you see where I teed off, that's ended up being kind of a mess, but I ran this back through here. And again, I talked about chafing gear. Put chafing gear anywhere you can on any ledge. Took it to 90s here because I want to put a heater in the back here that just runs off of this. which I mean, the hose right now is not cut, so it just kind of circulates through for right now. And that'll be another video when I get my ray cores in and all that stuff. So essentially this project is done, which feels pretty good. It's been in the making for a while. And again, I just talked about my electrical system. I might put some kind of, let's see if there's some kind of fan I can put in line with these somehow to blast extra air, because it flows pretty good, but I mean, there's a lot of resistance in your hoses running up there, and going down the road, a lot of air leaks around those windows, so you have to get enough airflow to overcome that cold air coming through, which is something I'm gonna have to work on. You could also put some kind of auxiliary pump in line right here. Audi has an electric water pump that you could plumb in right here, which you're not going to want to use these soft hoses. You're going to have to get a harder hose so it doesn't collapse them. I doubt it's high enough fluid flow to really do that. But I mean, you only need a foot of the stuff to just put it right here. So I might experiment with that, get more fluid flow blasting through there, because the faster it goes through, the better off you're going to be getting the hot fluid there, so it has less time to cool off, going through quicker, so you're always dealing with hot of air as possible. And I am up in Alaska, where, you know, heat is kind of important, so there are other ways to do this. Another guy put out a really good video on what he did. He used, you know, I do things as best I can to not drill holes, because you start drilling holes and then then you change something, do something different, something's in the way, and now you've got holes that need to be fixed. But these have these nice, they've got all these caps and stuff that you can just knock out. I think those will knock out, but they knocked out right there. So lots of room to do stuff like that. And there are these fittings. I was going to get one, but if that's what you do, there's a couple things he said that were really, really good advice. It threads, it sandwiches into the bulkhead, and then you put the hose on either side, so you're not running the hose through anything that it can chafe on. And also, he said go buy a Deuce, which is great advice. These things are really easy to work on. Don't be intimidated by them. They're really simple, really high tech for the time, but still pretty straightforward and easy to work on. Everything's standard. There's only about 10 sizes of nuts holding the whole thing together. And, you know, if you find one in good enough shape that's not very rusty, I have not had a single problem with a rusty bolt on this thing. Everything's come apart real easy. So anyway, yeah, that's my heater upgrade video. Again, you know, at idle, it doesn't have enough flow to adequately supply my whole system. So I will look into putting some kind of extra pump on there, and it's gonna have to be a pump that's rated for, you know, 200-degree fluid. So don't just throw anything on there, or you'll just melt it down. So I might buy that Audi pump, find a used one, and that'll be another video. So yeah, thank you for joining me. Let me know what you think. Shoot out some suggestions and so on and so forth. I'd like to hear from you. So have a good rest of your weekend.